Hi. About 16 years ago, I was introduced to your teachings. A friend of mine gave me a cassette, and I listened to the cassette hundreds and hundreds of times until one time I shared it with a friend, and she said, "Oh, that's the teachings of Esther Hicks. There's a whole set of CDs." It suddenly got harder because the one cassette answered all of my questions. And then I'm like, oh no, there's more? And then I found out there was a website, and it got, all of a sudden I felt like I had this huge to-do list because it took me like 3 years to listen to the one, and I thought, I'll never get it done. So.
Don't let it bother you because we've been saying the same thing for 30 years.
Right.
This ought to do it for you right here today.
Right. So anyhow, my life has been phenomenal through this co-creative process. I've had ups, downs, but they've all been fun. But the one thing where I'm like desiring clarity on and ease and understanding is how can my life be so resilient, meaning like when so-called negative things happen, I always say things are always working out for me, and then they do and everything. But it all goes to pieces when I think of my kids and my grandkids. I move into the judgment of it.
So you've answered your own question. Or you move into your perception of their judgment of you. It's easier, we know, when you think about creating your own reality, when you're just thinking about you in relationship to things that you want. But when you bring another thinking person or other thinking people into the equation, now it feels like there's so many moving parts. And because you cannot be their point of attraction, you can't be their path of least resistance, you can't vibrate for them, you can't think for them. Esther is just realizing, recently, really realizing in a strong way that she spent way more time than she now ever wants to admit that she spent trying to get other people to get her, to understand her. And she realizes that it's not just that she's so uniquely weird that they would never be able to get her. It's that nobody really gets anybody because nobody has the time or is patient enough or willing enough or able. It shouldn't be that way. They really are not supposed to focus upon you enough to really get you. They're just supposed to focus on their life enough to get them, you see. So if you can come to the place where you're willing to leave their response to you out of the equation. So here's something that we've been saying for a while. Most people, the majority of their vibrational output, and that vibrational output matters because it equals your point of attraction. What you broadcast and what you receive or what you get back are the same thing. But the majority of what people are broadcasting is in response to what they are observing in others. So as you're observing behavior of others or attitudes of others or opinions of others, as you observe that, what you don't realize you're doing and what you don't mean to do, oh, hear this, hear this, hear this. As you observe someone else and their opinion of you, you, at the same time you are observing it, broadcast the signal, which means you attract the same thing back. So after a while, they can't buck your current. They can't feel differently about you than the sort of ongoing spiral that you've got going. They think that, you think that they think that, because you think that, you broadcast, now they have to think that because you're meeting them. They don't only think that about you, but that's the only part that you can get back. You can't know, oh, here it is. You can't know everything that someone else thinks about you if you think narrowly about what they think about you. Oh, did you hear that? So if you think someone thinks these handful of things about you, and you think about those handful of things, they can't meet you on any other level than on those things. So every time you have an experience with them, it's like that's the way they feel about you. When they may very well have many more things that they think about you, but because you don't think about those other things that they think about you, you can't meet them on that level. Most important thing we've ever said. And it wasn't on the first cassette.
How do I do that to them? Because it's not, I mean, what they think of me is what they think of me, which is really none of my business. But
except, do you not think that you think about what you think they think of you?
No, I'm more worried about what I think of them because I'm not enjoying the experience with them because
well, then you got to make stuff up. Now think about what we were just saying earlier about the relationship that our friend is in the process of creating. So you put the things into the vortex, and now let's create that wonderful, loving genesis or basis of the things that will become. If you're thinking about them as they are, then that's what you're putting over there, and that's all that you can meet them on. So you've got to go deeper, go more general, be less specific, and think about the unconditioned. So how would you like them to be? Or better said, how would you like your feeling response to feel in response to who they be?
Well, I would like to be more detached from the choices that my daughter makes. Like, for example, I mean, she lives on public assistance. She doesn't have the time to spend with the kids. They don't get to do a lot of the activities that I know they would like to do unless I step in,
Well, that's good. All right, that was a good conversation, because you've given us the what you don't want, and so without even knowing it, you've put a whole lot of what you do want into the vortex, and that has been in the process of becoming. So there's a much brighter future for all of these people, because they're important to you and because you've created around that. So we know what that feels like. That feels like disappointment to you. Feels like a little bit of maybe failure on your part. It feels like I should have done differently. It feels like she should know better. It feels like resentment on your part because you did try to teach her differently. That's not the example that you set. So where did she pick that up?
Right. Keep going.
So there's all those feelings.
Yeah.
But keeping those feelings fostered keeps leading to those things.
It does.
Because it can't be otherwise. You can't influence upward experience for someone when you've got downward vibrational expectation or emotional expectation. You following this thoughts to thing train? And so let's find some different unconditioned emotions, unconditions. And sometimes it's hard to get there when you've just been somewhere else. So we're going to go for the ones that are the deepest and therefore probably the easiest to reach in my new relationship. I want to feel unconditional, natural, easy love and appreciation for my daughter. When she was first born, it was so easy to feel that way. It's like it was this natural, yeah? Mm-hmm. It's like this natural, I couldn't feel otherwise because she hadn't disappointed me yet. It was just sort of like a miracle that she was even there. Perfect. Yeah? Remember? Mm-hmm. So I want that feeling back. I want to feel like that. I liked feeling like that. I liked the ease of that. Nothing came down from somewhere that said, sign this. It just happened naturally. There she was, and that's how I felt. That's just how I felt. And I know it's the way that I was meant to feel. And as she got a little older, I know that's how she felt about me too. That's who we are. That's what we feel like. And I like the feeling of rightness of our relationship. And I like knowing that my job was to be a part of introducing an avenue in, and that I really did that, and that I provided the opening, the vortex through which she would come into this time-space reality. I know that I did that just right. I know that, like me, she has an inner being, and I know that love is the basis of who she is. And I know that I've changed over time, that it's much easier for me to get to a place of feeling good than it once was. And I believe that that's possible for everyone. And there isn't anything wrong with the way she's living life. She's finding her best way. In other words, she's found a way to survive, and bless her for that. And she really has not been dependent upon me, and bless her for that. And whenever I step in, it's out of my desire for life to be a little better for them. She's not soliciting from me. She's not asserting into my experience. She's not deliberately taking anything. She's just being, sort of like she beed when she was first born. It was just easier to love her the way she beed when she was first born than the way she bees now. But I can still remember, and I can still conjure, and I can still find that feeling. And so as you do that more and more, if you want to, if you would have the ability to never think about her again, then we would not have this conversation, because she does not need you to be her vibrational support. Your vibrational support might not even positively affect her anytime soon. It will only positively affect you. But the question that we have for you is, if you could just never think about her again, you ask for detachment. It's not detachment from her you wish. It's detachment from what's unnatural within you that you wish. Right. And so you would like her to be different so that you could feel about her the way you felt about her when it was easy to feel that way about her. But that's not how any of this works, you see.
I know.
You got to find the way to feel that way anyway. And if you can't, then you got to not think about her. There are many things that in a day will come into Esther's awareness, and she'll say, oh, I'm not going to think about that. At the first moment that it comes, if she just turns away, then she's just fine. Something else takes its positive place right away. But if she looks back at it for a minute, if she gives very much time to it at all, now she's hooked into it, and now she's got real work to do. Well, it's no wonder. You got some real work to do. We just don't want you to ever do that work again. We really mean that. You have some real work to do to undo all the thoughts that you've ever thought about somebody. It would take more than you have physical time in this lifetime or the next 2 or 3 to undo all of that. Don't even try. Just go straight to the unconditioned of love and find it or don't, and then change the subject, and then just go straight to the positive expectation. You can do it easier with her children than you can with her. It's easier for you to get there, and that might be the bridge in for you. But this is not going to be a difficult thing. Someone asked yesterday, well, how long is it going to take me? They'd listened for quite a while, and then their question, which made the audience laugh, okay, so Abraham, I get all that. So how long is it going to take me to get from here to there, from there to over there, from where I am to where I want to be? And we said, we can give you the precise timeline. It's as soon as instantaneously or eternity. It all has to do with how much you care about feeling good. And we can tell by interacting with you, we can tell how much you care about feeling good. And so we're more on the instantaneous side in our expectation than we are the 16